Hello guys, back again, and we're back talking about the Ouya again. In my last video when I talked about the Ouya, and it's basically, basically no longer going to require the free-to-play with games, it was talked about how it has been well known that the Ouya is going to kind of focus on software, less on hardware in the near coming future. Well, that didn't take very long because it was basically announced that the Ouya OS will be available to download and install on external Android devices within 6 months, the firm revealed today. The Ouya lead engineer Zach Phelps told Digital Spy that the OS in storefront can be installed on any significantly powerful Android device, allowing users to install, buy, and play Ouya's existing selection of games as part of its Ouya Everywhere initiative. And that initiative was basically to put Ouya in as many places as possible to ensure itself, its developers, can be successful. In other words, to get it out there everywhere so that if anybody wants to play Ouya or experience Ouya, they basically can. Well, they're going to have specific guidelines on about what types of things it'll work and won't work with. And that here, interesting thing is their QA will make sure that the games will work on all devices that this OS system will be available for. And that actually developers can actually opt out of certain systems. In other words, it is good if a developer, let's say, only wants to make games for the Ouya console, then they can opt out of not putting it anywhere else. This is a good thing for developers because they can decide, you know what, I don't want to. This is all I want to do. Now, this kind of reminds me of OnLive in a sense, because OnLive kind of started off, we're going to be a hardware, and then they went to software, and then they got bought out and they don't exist anymore. Now, in this case, I'm not necessarily going to go that way, but they started hardware, and now they're focusing on the software. Now, they did say they're still committed to making a high-end, basically product for the TV. So, again, it was just January that they upgraded the Ouya with a better controller, more memory, and stuff like that. So, they're going with the software platform. Now, it doesn't hurt to get your product on as many devices as possible, okay? There's a chance you could build your base somewhere. You put it on I do think it's limiting. I do think you shouldn't just make it for Android, even though it is an Android-based console. It's a shame you couldn't put it on other tablets and devices because again, the more places you put it, the more chance you have for success. But will people want to do that? At this point, your name for your system and your image is already cemented for Ouya. That when you bring that name up to people, there's an instant connection. Whatever that connection may be, good, bad, or indifferent. Maybe it's a system that doesn't sell a lot of games. Maybe it's, it's that $100 cheap system that hooks up to my TV. Maybe it's a great system, great for emulation. Whatever that perception of the public is already out there. It's going to be hard to change that now. Not without spending money to, find a way to change maybe the perception with maybe ads or something. I don't know. But are people going to be willing who don't have Ouya? Because this is not for the people in the console. This is for people who, the point is this is to let people be able to play the Ouya on their TV who don't own a console. And the question is, are people going to download the OS to play Ouya on their TV or their tablet? That's ultimately the question. And basically, the reality of that is it just depends on how well the OS works. If it is a smooth experience that plays really well, then it could have a chance of being successful. But if it's clunky, if it's laggy, people aren't going to stick around. There is no loyalty anymore for the most part. If you don't produce what people want, they'll move on to somebody who does. And so we'll see what this happens. Now, it looks really bad, the fact that your console's only been out a short amount of time. And you're already doing this. Whether this was a plan all the way along or not, it doesn't matter. It just matters that it looks bad to people because they see, all the news about you. And I mean, honestly, if you're honestly Ouya, you have to be kicking yourself about the Oculus Rift and Facebook getting sold for $2 billion. Because I guarantee you, when this thing first came out, someone would have probably paid a lot of money to buy it, and they thought they'd have a long-term business model with this. And they're still trying to go that way, and hey, you know what? There is always a chance they could turn it around. But what do you have to do? You've got, for example, a competition like the NVIDIA Shield partnering with Valve. For the Ouya, for the Ouya to really truthfully be successful, and there's nothing wrong with what they're doing with this, but they need more than that. To really truly be successful, they need to partnership with somebody to put something, some big name with some big kind of game on their system to get eyeballs back on it. Because right now people saw the original Kickstarter, saw the press about it, and they really, that's it. They're done. They don't hear about the Ouya really in mainstream news anymore. It's kind of like this thing, oh yeah, I remember when that happened for a lot of people. They have to find a way to get people's focus back on their system. So, after I went around that long way around the whole thing, what do you think about the Ouya OS? Would you download it and try it? And the question is going to be, this has to be, honestly, better be free to download. Because if it is not, then you're really limiting how many people are actually going to use it. If it's free to download, there might be some people who might be willing to try it, and you might gain new customers. But if you're going to charge for it, I hope they don't charge for it, because if they do, then I don't think the OS is going to have good success. But my question to you is, if they release the Ouya OS when it comes out in 6 months, and if you have an Android device, would you actually install it on it and try it? If they charged, would you try it? Or what would they have to do to let's put this way. What do they have to do with the OS to make you want to try the OS? That's the question I have with it. Why I think it, like, okay, it's cool technology to make an Android console. What do they have to do to get people to really pay attention to it? Or do you think that boat's already floated? So, anyway, guys, thanks for like, favorite, and comments. I really appreciate it. And I will talk to you guys later.